When I was at my lowest, Wanyi married me. Everyone said she married me to spite my younger brother, but after she died in a car accident, she left all her inheritance to me along with a voice recorder. Clicking it open gently, it was her cold, hoarse voice saying, "Patience, can you please like me a little too?" After so many years, I finally caught a glimpse of what she hid. Beneath the ice, a majestic and grand love. Opening my eyes again, I was reborn. My adoptive father was holding my hand, saying, "Shichuan, will you go to prison for your brother?" Before I was 16, I was the pampered eldest young master of the PE family, loved by my parents, favored by my sister, living a carefree life. But Pei Wang came to our door with a DNA test. Only then did I know the nurse had swapped the babies. He was the real young master, and I was just the bad dove occupying the magpie's nest. I originally wanted to leave, but my biological parents had long passed away. Mother Pei couldn't bear to see me become an orphan, so she officially adopted me. My adoptive parents treated me very well. My sister didn't give me the cold shoulder. Pei Wang never made things difficult for me either. I was grateful. But later, Pei Wang was backstage at the filming set and got into an argument with a During the struggle, that person fell down the stairs and became a vegetable. There were no surveillance cameras at the time, but someone had to take the blame, and I happened to be there at the time, witnessing it. My adoptive father came to me in tears, begging me to take the fall for Pei Wang. Pei Wang knelt before me and kowtowed, slapped his own face, said he was sorry to me. The whole family cried their hearts out, so I nodded. I took the blame for him and went to prison, enduring all kinds of hardships. At first, the PE family would still come to see me, either out of guilt or shedding apologetic tears. But gradually, no one came anymore. Once, the prison organized an activity. The warden asked about our plans after release. I thought for a long time before carefully writing down, "After release, I want to see Mom and Dad." When the inmate next to me saw it, he laughed at me for writing something so simple. "Mom and Dad will definitely come pick you up. How could you not see them?" I smiled and didn't argue. But when I was actually released, no one came. Only Father Pei's assistant took me to the airport and gave me a large sum of money. He didn't say anything, but I understood everything. Mom and Dad didn't want me anymore. The PE family had abandoned me. I didn't take the money, not out of any noble pride. I just didn't want to owe the Pei family anymore. The PE family raised me for over 20 years. I went to prison for their son for 5 years. We are even. I rented a house, ran my legs off, before finally finding a job that didn't mind my criminal record. But I was fired after just half a month. I asked repeatedly, until the manager hesitantly said, "You offended someone you shouldn't have." I froze for a moment and couldn't say anything else. The person I shouldn't offend. Who else could it be but the Pei family? That day, holding my bag, I walked onto the street. In the misty drizzle, the chilly rain fell on my face and body with the wind. Passing by the Central Plaza, the big screen was showing Pei Wang's live broadcast. On the award stage, he was handsome and dashing, freely displaying his charm. The camera panned. I saw Mother and Father Pei looking at him with tears in their eyes, as if looking at a rare treasure. I don't know why. I suddenly remembered the first visit in prison, when my adoptive father looked at my rapidly thinning body and promised me with tears, "Shichuan, when you get out, Dad will take care of you for the rest of your life. Dad loves you." But 2 years ago, the last time I saw him, his expression only held faint guilt. He said, "Shichuan Zhao Wang is getting engaged to Wanyi. He really likes her. When you get out, can you leave this place?" To prevent the Su family from finding out about the past, Wanyi, the little princess of the Su family, there was a TV in the prison. I would occasionally hear about Pei Wang and Wanyi's ocean-deep love. They said Wanyi was a famous playboy in the circle, but she changed her ways for Pei Wang, stepped into the entertainment industry she despised most, paving the way for him, providing him with connections and resources, presenting awards to him personally. I would occasionally envy Pei Wang, envying that he had parents who loved him, had a girlfriend who favored him. In just over 20 years, he already achieved success in both career and love, unlike me, with no parents, no career, no lover, and no one to love me. As for marrying Wanyi, that was originally an accident. After being fired, I went back to my hometown. I worked as a waiter in a restaurant. It was quite busy. I don't know where she got the news. When she found me, I was serving beer to customers. A man got drunk and went crazy, cursing at me. I frowned and slapped him. The man was furious and kicked me to the ground. Bottles and food spilled all over me. It burned badly. The man was still angry, cursing and about to hit me again. But the next second, he went silent. I opened my eyes to look and met the woman's eyes, bright as stars. Wanyi curled her lips and smiled, but lazily, without much sincerity. "Pei Shichuan, you're really here. I got up and shook off the food crumbs from my body, nodded, and wanted to walk past her to leave. But after taking just 2 steps, I heard her voice sound behind me. Seeing you so miserable, do you want to marry me? I looked back at her in astonishment. Are you crazy? Are you serious? Wanyi looked me up and down. Her eyes were dark and deep, showing no trace of emotion, but she spoke seriously. To tell you the truth, I was dumped by your brother. I'm in a bad mood, and you've been forced to this point by the PE family. We barely count as a victim's alliance. The streetlights were dim, flickered twice, and then announced they were broken. I couldn't see her face clearly, only heard her scoff. Anyway, you have nothing now. Marrying me is no loss for you. What are you afraid of? I thought for a moment and didn't speak. She quietly waited for me, until a cold breeze blew. I subconsciously shivered. Wanyi took off her haute couture scarf and wrapped it around me. In an instant, my breath was filled with her faint scent. I said, okay, and the marriage news started spreading. Everyone was shocked. They all said Wanyi married me, just to spite Pei Wang. At the wedding, when Wanyi said she was willing, I noticed Pei Wang off stage with red, teary eyes, leaving the venue losing his composure. I glanced at the woman, but she just smiled, without even looking at him, as if she had never loved him, as if she really didn't care. After marriage, Wanyi treated me very well. She arranged an assistant job for me, keeping us tied together all the time. I asked her for the reason. She just smiled lightly. Can't feel at ease leaving a handsome guy at home. Afraid a thief might steal you away? I lost my innocence. Wouldn't that be a huge loss? I laughed at her for not being serious, and didn't bother to argue with her. During those years in prison, I suffered too much. My body couldn't withstand any torment. A normal person's cold and cough would turn into a severe illness for me. Wanyi hired famous doctors from all over to treat me. Only then did I get a little better. By the hospital bed, she held my hand, serious and devout. Pei Shichuan, I bought you. Your life is mine. You cannot die before me. Childish, but looking at her faintly bitter eyes, I eventually nodded. I didn't understand why she was sad, but I had long learned not to ask, not to disturb. Okay, growing old together? But in the end, the one who didn't keep the promise wasn't me. It was Wanyi. Mr. Pei, Ms. Su, at 3:10 a.m. yesterday due to a major car accident passed away after failed rescue. My condolences. Pushing open the mortuary door, Mother and Father Su were already crying uncontrollably. I looked at Wanyi's pale, colorless face, and only thought to myself, heaven favored her, giving her what others could not reach, family background, looks, and abilities. But why was it so stingy to only give her 34 years? What a pity, what a pity. Wanyi's funeral was handled entirely by me. 5 years of marriage. Many people never approved of our marriage. Pei Wang's love turned into hate even more, always waiting to see me as a joke. But no one expected that Wanyi left all her property and shares entirely to me. The Su parents had no objections. Only when they left, their backs were hunched, no longer having their former spirit. A week later, Wanyi's lawyer Chen brought me the inheritance transfer document, and before leaving, he handed me a voice recorder. This is Ms. Sus relic. It has been repaired. I think you might need it, sir. Pei Shi. From the recorder. The woman's voice was clear and cold, mixed with a hint of static, making it sound even hoarser. I married you. Never to spite Pei Wang. It was because I like you. I froze for a moment, but my heart was completely calm, as if I had expected it all along. Wanyi chuckled softly. Maybe you have forgotten long ago. We had met long ago. At that time, you were the unreachable star in school, and extremely smart. You were the teacher's favorite. My mentor always talked about you. Every time he finished chatting with your teacher, he would angrily say to me, Wanyi, I hate you now. Stay away from me. She imitated the mentor's tone, sounding particularly cute. I subconsciously let out a laugh, but gradually took it back the next second. Wanyi continued to say, I hated you so much back then, but I couldn't help but look at you. I guess I'm a bit of a masochist, But later, you went to prison. Because of so-called intentional injury, I didn't believe it. I had to investigate and find out the truth. But unfortunately, the PE family cleaned up all the clues perfectly. So I set my sights on Pei Wang, it turns out. The widely praised romance between Wanyi and Pei Wang was nothing more than her excuse to find out the truth about my imprisonment. But Wanyi didn't expect that Pei Wang's lips were sealed tight. Yet she eventually found some clues. I suddenly remembered before the wedding, Wanyi one day excitedly asked me, Shichuan, do you want revenge? No. I shook my head. We are even. After so many years, I finally understood. That day she had probably uncovered the truth. She searched for the truth for me, and hid the truth from me too. So everything was because of me. The emotions in my eyes trembled violently. My whole body couldn't stop shaking. Tears fell one by one. But then again, my acting skills must have been really, really great. So I fooled everyone. And fooled you too. Do you know when I went to ask you to marry me? That expression, that look in your eyes, how cute it was? Never mind, I'm talking too much again. Actually, I've always wanted to ask you. Wanyi coughed once. She was always cold and proud. But at this moment, her speaking voice rarely carried a hint of girlish shyness. Pei Shichuan, could you please like me a little too? In this life, I might not be able to hear it. So next life, when I go find you, tell me then. Accompanied by the sharp screeching of a vehicle braking and the noisy screams of the crowd, I heard her last sentence clearly. She said, Pei Shichuan, I really like you so much. The end of her voice actually carried a trace of a smile. The emotions I had suppressed all along suddenly collapsed at this moment. In the empty living room, on the table were still the lilies that Wanyi brought home a few days ago. I always liked lilies, so she offered them to me like a treasure. Shichuan, does it smell good? I specially went and picked them one by one. Shichuan, from now on, you'll be the one changing the flowers at home. At that time, the delicate smiles in her eyes were like gentle starlight. How could I say a word of refusal? But the one who made the promise lied. She left first and took away the last trace of life from the lilies. The warm sun shone on my shoulders through the floor-to-ceiling window. I raised my hand to touch it, but only felt freezing cold. To this day, I finally caught a glimpse of Wanyi's hidden beneath the ice layer. Majestic and secret love. But it seemed a bit too late. Lawyer Chen saw me again a week later. He came to pick up the inheritance transfer document. He had followed Wanyi for many years and had seen me many times. In his impression, I was always decent, wearing a gentle smile, like a jade Buddha high above. Coldly observing the world's disturbances, showing no joy, no anger, no emotion. Even when I learned of Wanyi's death, I only froze for a second. Without even my eyes turning red, Wanyi treated him so well. Yet she didn't get a single tear from him. Lawyer Chen once felt it wasn't worth it for Wanyi in his heart. But this time, just entering the living room, Lawyer Chen actually saw me, holding a few bunches of long-withered lilies, my face paler than falling snow. Seeing him, I didn't even have a trace of polite smile, just stating coldly and hard, Lawyer Chen, donate her property to the orphanage. I don't want hers. Without any room for negotiation, before leaving, Lawyer Chen couldn't help but turn back and ask, Sir, have you ever liked Boss Sue? And I just smiled, but didn't answer. Many years later, I was a philanthropist heavily reported by the media, sponsoring countless orphans. Seeing me again was in front of my sickbed. I was clearly only 45 years old, but already had a head full of white hair. At that time, I looked out the window, as if I saw someone. With a bit of youthful sincerity on my face, I said, I like you. I have always liked you. Shichuan, Dad begs you, save your brother. Your brother is still so young. How? How can he go to prison? Brother, I really know I was wrong. I didn't mean it. I don't want to go to prison. I am a big star. If I go to prison, my whole life will be ruined. When I woke up from a pitch-black darkness, what rang in my ears was a noisy, crying voice. My head hurt terribly. Slowly opening my eyes, I finally saw everything in front of me clearly. Pei Wang was kneeling on the ground, crying and sprawling on the floor. Mother Pei hugged him tightly, comforting him, while Father Pei was gripping my hand tightly, his eyes and face covered in tears, his voice carrying a bit of choking, but very serious. Shichuan, will you go to prison for your brother? I looked at him in silence, as if it was a kind of encouragement. Father Pei gritted his teeth and said, there were no surveillance cameras at the scene. Only you and Zhao Wang were present. The paparazzi only caught a shot of a back. Nothing can be recognized. As long as you admit you accidentally pushed Hikong, the police won't be able to find out anything, rest assured. After you go to prison, Dad will definitely arrange everything for you and want to let you suffer. When you get out of prison, the PE family will provide for you for the rest of your life. He said the exact same thing in my past life, but the shelf life was no more than a year. Once the promise expired, I was kicked out of the single cell. And because of my outstanding looks, I attracted bullying and revenge from some people. Beaten and verbally abused, even poisoned, miserable beyond words. But no one ever came to see me until I got nitrite poisoning from the food and was out on medical parole. Father Pei came to my hospital bed. That day, he glanced down at me condescendingly, looking faintly impatient. After all, it's a prison, not a holiday resort. Suffering a little is inevitable. Shichuan, don't be so fragile. Zhao Wang is going abroad for a business trip recently. Am worried? I probably won't have time to visit you anymore. After that, I never saw him again. Looking at Father Pei's tearful face now, I believe what he says at this moment is entirely sincere. But once sincerity changes, the guilt and remorse towards me, eventually, with the passage of time, turned into a deeper fear. I gently pulled my hand away from Father Pei's and said, "No." Father Pei was stunned. Probably didn't expect that the always obedient and sensible me would actually reject him. But when I spoke again, I was serious and firm. "Dad, I thank you for raising me for 20 years. But I don't want to forfeit my whole life because of it. Whether you call me selfish or an ungrateful wretch, I just don't want to take the blame for him. Returning through rebirth is not to repeat the same mistakes. In my past life, Wanyi saved me. In this life, I want to save myself. And then, clean and innocent, walk decently to Wanyi's side." My refusal made Father Pei furious. He scolded me for being ungrateful, enjoying the benefits of the Pe family for so many years, yet unwilling to give the slightest bit in return. Mother Pei and Pei Wang cried even more heart-wrenchingly. But seeing I was unyielding, they worried that I would run away. So they locked me in a room. Only my sister, Pei Nanzi, didn't say a single word from beginning to end, just like in the previous life. Father Pei confiscated my phone, but he didn't know I had a spare phone. Turning on the phone, yesterday's news of He Qiang's accidental severe injury, leading to him becoming a vegetable, was already trending. Clues were scarce. Only the paparazzi had taken a blurry photo of a back and a quote from him. Pei Wang and brother Qi once spent some time alone with He Qiang. The police were probably already on their way. I flipped through the spare phone and subconsciously dialed a phone number. Looking at the familiar digits, I froze for a moment, but ultimately didn't make the call. For some reason, I still felt a little scared inside. Scared that the person on the other end wasn't the one I knew, even more scared that I would wake up from the dream and never see her again. In my past life, after Wanyi died, I paid her phone bill regularly. In the dead of night, I texted her about daily life or complained and would always get a reply. "Shichuan, I am here." It was her auto reply, set up before she died. "Tell me, how could this person be so hateful?" Hatefully gripping my heart, making me unable to forget her for 10, 20, 30 years. Getting up and pulling back the curtains, I saw the police outside the door and the subtle glares from the Pe family. With trembling hands, I finally sent a text message. "Wanyi, do you want to come save me?" Mother Pei wanted to stop me and not let me show myself and then confirm my guilt. But I knocked loudly on the door. Facing the police's questioning, I ignored Mother Pei's pleading gaze and answered one by one. In the past life, the conviction and case closure went smoothly because I voluntarily confessed to the crime, even erased my own alibi. But in this life, I want to be so stupid. That gratitude from the past 20 years or so was already worn out in the previous life. Not hating them is already my limit. And in contrast to my calm composure, Pei Wang appeared even more panicked and guilty. Who is right and who is wrong is obvious at a glance. When Pei Wang was taken away, Mother Pei was crying hysterically. Father Pei had an even darker face. His occasional glances at me were like looking at his son's murderer, wishing he could tear me into pieces. The two of them left following Pei Wang. I watched quietly, without saying a word. At this moment, Pei Nanzi walked up to me and said in a deep voice, "The Pe family can no longer accommodate you. You should leave this place." I looked up at her. My gaze paused for a second on her reddened eyes. "Don't you blame me?" Pei Nanzi froze for a moment. She didn't answer yes or no, just looked distantly in the direction of the police car. Her tone as light as a breeze. "Shichuan, you are also my brother." She said the exact same thing in my past life. She advised me not to take the blame. I asked her why. She looked down at me, her gaze like wind and rain, gentle and pitiful. "You are also my brother. Only," I let her advice down. But this time, I decided to listen to her. Mother and Father Pei probably hate me to the bone now. Staying would only add more trouble. I said, "Seriously, sister, take care of yourself." Pei Nanzi hooked the corners of her mouth, her voice obscure. "Shichuan, live your life well." Having packed my luggage, I walked out of the Pe family home. The wind blew, rolling up the fallen leaves on the ground. At this very moment, the sunlight fell upon me, warm and cozy. And just then, a figure suddenly rushed in front of me. Speaking in a very panicked tone, "Pei Shichuan, I am here. Are you okay?" I froze for a moment. Looking up, the woman was wearing a black long dress, her figure tall and straight, her eyes deep, standing against the morning sun, as if standing in the light. Her bright and moving face looked lazy and careless, but at this very moment, her face was slightly pale, looking me up and down with a nervous expression. Seeing me unharmed, she finally relaxed her face. Her gaze paused on my suitcase for 2 seconds. Before speaking again with some hesitation, "Pei Shichuan, did you run away from home?" It was Wanyi, to be precise. It was a much younger Wanyi. Past memories flashed quickly through my mind. There was her looking at me gently. There was her lazily yawning. Her holding my hands step by step walking into marriage. Finally, pausing on that evening when I was released from prison, she seemed lazy, but actually clenched her hands secretly. She asked me, "Peishi, do you want to marry me?" At this moment, my heart was beating rapidly, unwilling to take my eyes off the woman for even a second, until she panicked, widened her eyes, and exclaimed, "Shichuan, why are you crying? Who bullied you?" I was crying. Crying for what? Seeing her again, I should obviously be happy. But what was accumulated in my heart from the past life? All those emotions turned into tears. Flowing out from my heart, the tears couldn't be stopped. I cried. Wanyi quietly stayed with me. After a long time, she hugged me tightly. Her voice was low, carrying a hint of helpless spoiling, as if coaxing a beloved child. "Shichuan, stop crying. Who bullied you? I will take revenge for you." "Okay." I gripped her cuff tightly, shook my head. "No revenge. In this life, I just want to be with you properly. I don't want anything else." I followed Wanyi back to her apartment. After Wanyi died in my past life, I lived here for a very long time, as a kind of mourning, or maybe recalling. I couldn't explain it. I was already familiar with the layout here, but I didn't notice. When I skillfully walked to the deepest part, Wanyi's gaze darkened for a moment. Looking at my disheveled self with red and swollen eyes in the mirror, I sighed softly. Feeling a bit embarrassed, I clearly made up my mind to face Wanyi decently. But every time we meet, I am always this disheveled. But it doesn't matter. Wanyi loves me so much. She won't despise me? Absolutely not. This is the most certain and sure thing in my life. Walking out of the washroom, Wanyi was leaning against the door outside waiting for me. She asked me why I was crying. I frankly narrated everything that just happened. There was nothing to hide between her and me. After hearing it, Wanyi froze for a moment. "So the Pei family wants you to take the blame." I nodded, but I refused. This matter won't end so simply, although Hikong is severely injured and hasn't woken up, and there is no substantial evidence. We can only wait for him to wake up to convict. Even if Pei Wang is currently considered a major suspect by the police, but your suspicion is not non-existent. The more she spoke, the darker her face became. I suddenly spoke up and interrupted her. "Wanyi, I'm a little hungry." Her gaze paused and fell on me. Seeing my clear eyes, without a trace of nervousness, she helplessly sighed and said, "I'll go cook." I nodded. In my previous life, my stomach illness was very severe. Wanyi specially learned medicated diet and cooked personally every day. Her cooking skills were very good. I once thought she already knew how to cook, but seeing her at this moment, serving a clumped-up bowl of noodles, I suddenly realized Wanyi, a wealthy young lady, always only had others serving her. How could she know how to cook from the beginning? She learned it for me. It was always for me. I picked up my chopsticks and took a bite. It was quite salty. But Wanyi looked at me expectantly. "Is it good?" Her eyes were floating with tiny stars. Extremely beautiful. Exactly like the one in my memory who smiled and asked me if I liked her. I lowered my head, held back my sour emotions, and nodded heavily. "It's delicious, and I like it very much." In the end, that bowl of noodles was thrown into the trash can. Because I cried. Wanyi thought I cried because it tasted so bad. So she picked up the chopsticks and took a bite. Then, the next second, it went into the trash can. She wrinkled her face with a dissatisfied expression. "I want to cry too. How could it taste this bad?" Extremely cute, making me laugh out loud. Dispersing the gloominess between my brows, I encouraged, "It's okay. In the future, your cooking will definitely be delicious." "Why?" I smiled. "Because I am your only diner in the future." The woman's eyes flickered, her eyes looking thoughtful. Revealing an unfathomable and profound look, she said in a deep voice, "Pei Shichuan, who are you to me in the future?" I froze for a moment, raised my eyes to look at her, but met her pitch-black eyes, confident and certain. She guessed it, of course. She was always so smart. "Perhaps it's..." I paused for a split second, before speaking slowly. "Lover. People who love each other." I thought Wanyi might be stunned, or would frown and press for answers. But instead, her expression softened. The corners of her eyes curved slightly. The corners of her lips curled up, fading away her careless nonchalance. Looking incredibly sincere, she said, "That's good. That's good." Looking at the teardrop mole by her eye that trembled as she smiled, I said, "Thought it and did it." I stood on my toes and kissed it. Under her astonished gaze, I smiled brightly. "Wanyi, I really like you. I forgot to tell you in my past life. I'll tell you in this life, I like you. I have always liked you." Before sleep, Wanyi covered me with a blanket. "If you are scared, just call my phone. I will come right over." Before leaving, she even placed the peace amulet worn on her neck into the palm of my hand. I know this one. Su Wanyi was sickly as a child, so Mother Su prayed for this peace amulet for her, to protect her as she grew into adulthood. Now she also uses it to protect my peace. I tightly held the jade pendant, my heartbeat fluctuating constantly, until Su Wanyi slowly walked out and closed the door. Did I suddenly realize my face felt a bit sore, touching the corners of my mouth, only to find that I had been smiling all along. My heart also felt full. Su Wanyi is always like this, seemingly a social butterfly, never taking anything to heart, but is actually the most attentive and gentle person. And for this sleep, I couldn't fall asleep even until midnight, a bit excited and a bit scared. I took a look at the phone placed next to my pillow. Thinking for a while, I wondered if Su Wanyi was asleep yet. Calling her, I was a little afraid of disturbing her. I might as well just send a text message. Are you asleep? Just after sending it out, I felt it was a bit unnecessary, just as I wanted to unsend it. A footstep suddenly came from the doorway, followed by the sound of the door opening. Opening my eyes again, Su Wanyi was already standing by my bed. Moonlight poured through the window onto Su Wanyi's shoulders. She leaned down and asked softly, "Shichuan, what's wrong?" It had been less than a minute since I sent the message, yet she had already arrived. She was truly fulfilling her words. She said she would come. Then no matter how late, she would always come. Perhaps just like me, this night, she couldn't sleep peacefully either, only because she was afraid I might really need her. Thinking of this, my heart clenched tightly into a ball, aching and suffocating. I stayed at Su Wanyi's house like this for half a month. The most interesting thing was waiting for Su Wanyi to come home. She went into the kitchen to toss about with her cooking skills, and I leaned against the door, quietly watching her, occasionally lending her a hand, under the warm yellow light, revealing a beautiful but somewhat youthful face, shrouded in a layer of soft gauze, exuding a faint gentleness. At this time, she hadn't graduated from university yet. Compared to the decisive President Su of the previous life, she now looked a bit green and immature. This was a time I had never participated in, never knew about. She would occasionally look up at me. The corners of her lips curled up slightly. The clear love in those eyes couldn't be hidden at all. She liked me so much. At this moment, I suddenly realized, in the times I didn't know, Su Wanyi had really been loving me with all her heart. My heart tightened suddenly. The emotions in my heart flowed through my blood to my whole body. Finally turning into a long sigh, watching Su Wanyi's cooking skills improve day by day, the PE family finally couldn't hold back anymore. I had thought the Pei family wouldn't just let Pei Wang confess and go to prison, but I didn't expect the PE family would bribe He Qiang's manager to identify me as the real culprit. So shameless, so despicable. In front of the camera, Mother Pei revealed the truth about my and Pei Wang's birth. She cried a river of tears. I really didn't expect Shichuan would intentionally hurt others. He was always a very well-behaved child. But now, to avoid punishment, he actually framed his own younger brother. Although Zhao Wang is my biological son, he actually hasn't enjoyed a good life for many days. And now he has to be framed and sent to prison. Shichuan truly chills my heart. Pei Wang shrank in her arms, clumsily wiping away her tears, but letting his own tears stream down his face. "Mom, don't be sad anymore. Brother must have made a mistake in a moment of confusion. If I can atone for my brother, I am willing to take his place. As long as he can be filial to you, it's enough." The mother and son looked mournful and sorrowful in front of the media, crying incredibly pitifully. The person who made a mistake must take responsibility. What you shouldn't bear, you don't have to bear. Finally, Father Pei spoke righteously and sternly to the camera. "Pei Shichuan, the Pei family raised you for so many years. I hope you can step forward and atone for your mistakes." Once the video was leaked, a wave of condemnation against me surged on the internet. What an ungrateful wretch. A fake young master enjoyed so many years of blessings for nothing, and lets the Pei family's biological son take the blame for him? Is he human? Pei Shichuan, you bastard. Daring to do it, but not daring to admit it. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, the PE family did everything they could for you, and you repay kindness with ingratitude like this. Just an absolute animal. The curses continued endlessly. My private account was also exposed. DMs exploded every day. Even former classmates called to ask me. Those who cared about me, I occasionally replied. Those telling me to plead guilty, I blocked directly. The outside world was constantly in chaos, but I did nothing. No matter how much the PE family stirred up trouble, as long as the police didn't summon me, I was innocent. So why mess up my own pace and fall into the trap of Su Wanyi received the news that day and hurried home. Her first words were, "I can help you." I smiled and said, "No need. I'll do it myself." But halfway through my words, for some reason, I suddenly remembered something that happened in my past life, a fierce argument. But calling it fierce was actually just because Su Wanyi treated me so well that it made many people jealous. Someone secretly spread the news of my imprisonment. The internet was full of insults too, but in the end, it was all just about me being unworthy of Su Wanyi. Su Wanyi wanted to help me eliminate the rumors, wanted to attend a press conference with me, and file a lawsuit against those who gossiped, but I felt it was unnecessary. I had indeed been to prison, even though I had a clear conscience. I didn't want Su Wanyi to draw criticism because of this. But this angered Su Wanyi. She coldly questioned me, whether I cared about her, whether I considered her my wife, but I just felt cold treatment was better, feeling she was being unreasonable. That day, the living room lights weren't on, only leaving. The afterglow of the setting sun, silent for a long time, she scoffed and softly said one sentence. "You are innocent in this world. I cannot tolerate others pointing fingers at you. Pei Shichuan, do you understand?" I stayed silent and couldn't answer her when she left. I looked back but could only see her lonely silhouette. I regretted it a bit then. I thought I might as well have promised her it was just a small thing, but I didn't expect that to be the last time I saw her. After her death, I asked myself time and time again, why didn't I stay with her? Why wouldn't I tell her my feelings? Those bunches of lilies, that meticulous care, that focused gaze. Did I really not realize she loved me? I clearly knew, but I was a self-deceiving bastard. I was certain Su Wanyi would grow old with me, willfully indulging in her love, yet never willing to soothe her anxious heart, until she died. I understood love, but for a love realized too late, the cruelest thing is not having time to express it. Not having time to get closer, before it is completely lost, with no more chances. Being reborn again is a chance heaven gave me to make amends. What romantic, reserve, shyness, and taking things step by step. I don't care about it. I can't learn it either. I just want to be with her. So I hugged Su Wanyi tightly and then kissed her lips. With our lips intertwined, I panted softly and said, "Okay, help me." Su Wanyi froze for a moment, then pushed me down on the sofa deeper and heavier. 2 hours later, I was so tired I couldn't get up, but hugged Su Wanyi tightly. Refusing to let go, I looked at her. Even though I was so sleepy I couldn't open my eyes, I still didn't want to close them. I was still a little scared this was a dream. She leaned over and gently kissed my cheek. "I am here," she "Sleep? I will always be here." I hummed in agreement. I couldn't hold on any longer and fell into darkness. In the darkness, I suddenly woke up with a start. I lay in a black and white toned bedroom. On the bedside table was a glass of completely cold water. Beside the water were white pills. I looked around. It was deserted and cold, but that familiar person wasn't there. My head suddenly throbbed with pain. Memories surfaced in my mind, scene after scene, finally stopping at that voice. The hoarse voice mixed with static. "Shichuan, I really, really like you." So it was a dream. It dawned on me. So it really was a sweet dream. I gripped my chest tightly, hands and feet freezing cold, as if I were trapped in a net, gradually being deprived of the right to breathe. Tears fell down one by one. "Shichuan, what's wrong?" Someone suddenly pushed open the door and walked in front of me, looking at me in panic. Through teary eyes, I raised my hand to wipe my tears, and finally saw the woman's face clearly. "Shichuan, it's okay. I just went out to deal with the PE family's matters. I found the manager bribed by the PE family, and found the cleaner who happened to pass by that day. He saw that it was Pei Wang who pushed He Kong down. Pei Wang has been convicted. The PE family is also being sued by me for defamation. Shichuan, no one will ever frame you again." The woman gently patted my back. While recounting everything that happened while I was asleep, I looked up at her and gently pulled her into my arms, listening to the clear and forceful heartbeat coming from her chest. I finally smiled. "It's nothing. I just missed you," I gently told her. "Su Wanyi, have I ever told you? I really, really, really like you so much." The woman chuckled. Hugging me tightly, she said, "I also like she." Two people who love each other, after so many years, finally confessed their love to each other. Mountains, seas, time, and space cannot hinder the reunion of those who love each other. I am reborn. The first time after I was reborn, I went to the Pei family, only to find that the PE family was still peaceful. Pei Shichuan was still the entire college's aloofest and smartest male god, instead of that Mr. Pei from the past life who seemed gentle, but actually had a heart riddled with holes. Shichuan lacked a sense of security. Prison was too hard, and he was envied and hated by others. Those inmates often deliberately tortured him in the middle of the night, which caused him, even after he got out of prison, even if he fell asleep, with just the slightest noise, he would be startled awake, and then could never fall asleep again, sitting up for the whole night. But even so, during the day he could still do his work flawlessly. My Shichuan is fragile snow and resilient pine. It seems a ray of light could melt him, but in reality, he is indestructible. I love him and my heart aches for him. Admiring him at the school's freshman ceremony, Pei Shichuan gave a speech on stage as the student union president. I sat in the audience. Looking over from afar, the boy wore a uniform, with neat short hair, showing a handsome yet youthful face. He freely radiated his charm, displaying his knowledge, captivating many people, not just making them stare in awe, but also listen in awe. Shichuan at this time is the youthful one in my memory, the pure top student. Pei Shichuan standing on the rostrum. The headwind blew past, blowing his hair. The sunlight seemed to favor him, dyeing him in a light golden hue. In an instant, I suddenly felt that if time could stop at this moment, how great it would be. My Shichuan should never endure those hardships and torments, and forever stay pure, smiling when happy, suffering when sad, will not be subjected to rumors, and will not provoke ridicule and mockery. How wonderful that would be. I already knew Pei Wang would get into trouble, so I specifically installed a surveillance camera. In that secluded stairwell, just as I was about to release it, I received Pei Shichuan's cry for help message. At that moment, I knew Shichuan had also returned. I wanted to know his attitude this time. I wanted to know how he would deal with the Pei family, and this time he refused to take the blame and left the PE family. I saw him quietly dragging his luggage, walking on the deserted Sycamore Avenue. When he saw me, he broke into a smile, making me feel, the sunlight was so warm that day. I took him home. I pretended not to know anything, worked hard for a long time, and made a bowl of unappetizing noodles. Seeing him stunned, guiding him little by little to discover my love for him, seeing his heart tremble for me, I should have been overjoyed. But the moment I saw his tears, I felt my heart ache again. Forget it, I thought. It's enough that I love him. Whether he loves me or not, what does it matter? But in the end, he pulled me into his arms, pressed tightly against me, and told me, Su Wanyi, I really, really, really like you. In that moment, I just felt flowers blooming all over the sky. I tried hard to hold back the sourness in my eyes, and responded word by word to my lover. Me too. Pei Shichuan, I also really, really, really like you. People say those who love each other will always meet again. Then I feel that on the day they meet, the sunlight must be warm. The story delivers a profound and emotionally resonant exploration of the heavy cost of unspoken affection, the lingering agony of regret, and the redemptive power of vulnerability. Through the intertwined fates of Pei Shichuan and Su Wanyi, the narrative illustrates how emotional restraint, pride, and the fear of being a burden can build icy walls around the heart, turning deep devotion into a tragic sequence of missed connections and silent sacrifices. It brilliantly captures the heartbreak of a late realization where true love is only fully understood and confessed after it has seemingly been snatched away by tragedy, leaving the survivor to grapple with a lifetime of what-ifs. By weaving a tale of rebirth and second chances, the narrative offers a powerful message to the audience that love cannot merely be felt in silence or hidden behind layers of self-protection. It demands the courage to be fully honest, to tear down defensive facades, and to cherish every fleeting moment with those who matter most. Ultimately, the story reminds us that while time and circumstance can inflict deep structural wounds on our lives, choosing to embrace vulnerability and openly declare our feelings is the only true way to conquer the barriers of space, time, and past trauma, ensuring that love becomes a healing light rather than a source of eternal regret.